did not finish my testimony on vaccines. Should I do that now?
Sure.
Because I was a little bit confused about where we were in the thing. So I just want to stress again that African Americans have many predisposing mutations that are very protective from malaria. We have beta thalassemias, we have sickle cell trait, we have glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. When their system is stressed, they lose their ability to carry oxygen effectively. 1 in 10 males of African descent has glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. It's sex-linked. That means 1 in 10 could basically devolve when their system is highly stressed, either under COVID or as a result of a vaccine. Do we screen for this at birth? No. Are hospitals ready to give a transfusion when someone does this? No, they don't even know it's happening. They just ignore the whole thing. And so in this light, my son is Ethiopian. And we know that Gregory Poland's data is showing that people of African descent generate a much more vigorous immune response that could go hyperinflammatory in response to vaccines. That is some of the most significant, like statistically significant data I have ever seen. The p-value is so low, it's got, like negative numbers all behind it. And so he's supposed to get a vaccine. He's in New York City. He's like, Mom, I can't do anything. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't do anything. So we're in a horrific position where people of African descent are being mandated to get a COVID vaccine to stay employed or participate in normal life, such as going to a restaurant, even though these products have not been optimized for the genetic profile. Thus, African Americans are likely to be at significantly more risk of an adverse event than their European counterparts. Even worse, we're about to push this on our kids. Right? We know that in response to MMR, William Thompson at the CDC was a whistleblower that said African American boys who got the MMR on time, again, these are RNA vaccines, and we know, again, RNA viral vaccines, live viral vaccines, we have the data to show how they are affecting the immune system, and that data showed that they were 2 to 3 times more likely to get an autism diagnosis if they were vaccinated on time, right? William Thompson alleges they then shredded the data. It's meant 20 years later from the first study, and we have not addressed the fact that not all of us are the same, and we need individualized medical care. These are not hard problems to solve. They're really not. We just need to use our brains, and we actually need to address the issue instead of making everything a one-size-all political nightmare.
Thank you, Dr. Parks. Again, do we have Dr. Bhattacharya's video? Okay, we'll run that, and that will kind of conclude the opening statement part of the program, and then it'll be the free-for-all of a discussion, very free-flowing. Dr. Urso?
Senator, I want to, just before we get on the questions, enter something into the record. I want to personally thank you. In the past, medical schools and conferences like this would take place. We debate how to treat these kind of diseases, and it's kind of strange that this meeting has to take place in the U.S. Senate. Given the current state of affairs, that's where we are. But in the past, we would think that somehow the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, we would have basically maybe a message board, exchange ideas. And I really want to reach out and say thank you for what you've done to Dr. McCullough and Dr. Risch, who initially set all of this up. The extreme censorships and attacks have led us to come to this place. And so I want to just thank you for what you've done. You've really pushed this all forward, you've been yourself become a researcher and a scientist over this last 2 years. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Okay, thanks. So again, what we'll do is we'll move to Dr. J. Bhattacharya's description of, I think he'll probably be talking about the Great Barrington Declaration to kind of wrap this all up. This is, from my standpoint, this is what might have been. This would have been certainly a second opinion of how to respond to COVID, which from my standpoint would have been far more rational. In my opening statement, I talked about our deaths per million, or I think over 2,600 per million versus Sweden's 1,500 per million. And I will point out that 1.8 million Swedish school children went to school, no masks, all the while through, and it may have changed, but Last time I heard, not one of those 1.8 million children died of COVID. Now, again, Sweden was excoriated, criticized, uncaring, just an uncaring society. Results, facts, truth matter. So we'll listen to Dr. Bhattacharya, and then we'll open up the discussion. I know there are people in the audience that have some questions. We'll call them. I can't really predict how this all goes, but I certainly appreciate the beginning, the opening statements here. I think it's opened people's eyes, and I don't see how anybody watching this today, and I think it'll be really reinforced during the discussion phase, I don't think anybody could question the credentials, the qualifications, the integrity of the individuals that are sitting around this table. And again, this is a fraction of other courageous people out there globally trying to push back against, the one-size-fits-all approach. But